So today I'm really excited to talk about our migration journey to ClickHouse and how we, took a real user monitoring platform from slow queries to sub-second insights. Now, if you see, I've added an image on the slide, right, which has a contrasting scenes in it. So on the left, you see a person that is breaking down, looking frustrated and thinking about what may break next because they are not confident enough about their system. And on the right, you have a person who looks confident, relaxed, and focused about building value because their system is swift and seamless, right? So these two images perfectly sums up our journey from before and after the migration. So let's get started and see how we got here. But before going into the whole migration part, let me just first introduce you to what is Auditzy and what we do. So Auditzy is a real user monitoring platform where we track and optimize website speed and performance in real time across all the website pages and visitor segments. But beyond just collecting metrics, we also connect the dots between website speed and the business outcomes, that is your conversion rates or bounce rates or add to cart ratios. Now in this pyramid diagram that I have added here, on the base layer we have the data layer, right, where we collect or track different kind of data points. Things like metrics that are load time and interactivity, visual stability, overall user persona, that is the browser, location, OS, RAM, right? Conversion related events like add to cart or payment related events, and network logs to understand 4xx and 5xx request logs. Now this data is then converted into insights and which are used to surface the opportunities to performance related improvements and finding the correlation between the speed and conversion funnels plus benchmarking against the competitors. Now these insights are used by different team members in different ways. For example, tech team use these insights to understand the performance related bottlenecks. For example, a slow loading image or a visually unstable layout right on the website. Business leaders use this to connect or get a clear view about the impact of that speed that they are seeing on their business. Marketing and SEO teams use this to understand and compare their website with their competitors and exactly know where they stand. Now at the top layer, we convert these insights into actionable decisions with the help of real-time analytics, alerting and automation where our customers stay informed and in control without needing much of the manual digging. So in a nutshell, Auditzy help brands monitor and optimize performance, but also help them understand what is the impact of that speed on their business. Now that we've gotten a broader idea about what Auditzy is, let me just zoom in into the kind of data that we track. So I've divided the data that we track into three broader buckets here. On the first, we track performance related metrics like load time, how fast your website loads, that comes under the LCP, largest contentful paint. Visual stability, to understand if your website is stable enough or doesn't have unexpected layout shift, that comes under the CLS. Interactivity, to measure the user latency or the latency of the user interaction. For example, a button click or a scroll, right? That comes under the INP. Now these three metrics combine together to form the core web vitals, which are also part of the search engine ranking signals. Now, those of you that work on the front end side of things must be aware about these. Apart from these three, we also track server responsiveness and time to first byte and network logs to understand the 4xx and 5xx request logs. On the second bucket, we have the overall visitor persona where we track browser, network, OS, RAM, geolocation, and their overall journey to different pages they visit. And at the end, we also track event related, track different events that happen during the later part of the user journey. That is, add to cart events or payment related events or scroll or timing related events to understand how much time they are spending on the website. I have added a couple of screenshots as well. I know they are quite blurry here, but this will give you an idea of how we use this data to generate these analytics inside the system, right? Now this is how architecture used to look like before the migration, right? On the left-hand side, data comes in from different devices wherever a script is running. So we provide brands with a script just like a GA or GTM kind of script, but non-main thread blocking. Now data comes into a backend server written in Golang where we convert this raw data into cleaner data set, pushes it to a Kinesis stream, which then pushes it to the Postgre database that we used earlier. Now at this point, everything from dashboard to queries to reports is being handled by Postgre itself. Now this setup that you are seeing here used to work decently up until to a point where we had lower data volumes. Now, as we started to scale, as we started to grow, this setup, cracks begin to show in this setup. So let's just understand what those cracks were. Now, first and foremost, slow query time for larger data sets. So anytime we ran a query on, 100, 200 million data set, it used to take not just seconds, but minutes, right? And for a product that was pitching real-time insight, this was not ideal. Our ingestion rate also used to get very slow in times of high traffic periods where, even though we were using Kinesis, PostgreSQL used to take a hit. Making the overall dashboard real-time also gave us a tough time. We had to cut corners, rely on caching mechanism, partitioning, materialized views, and built our own custom aggregation system just to stay performant. And with, doing all those workarounds also brought us a high technical depth where we had to, write a lot of code in order to maintain that performance. And as we were evolving with time, PostgreSQL was not able to, match up with the speed and flexibility that we needed. So a feature to market speed up was also very slow because every time we decided to build a new feature, it used to take a longer test and, dev cycles. And lastly, when dealing with PostgreSQL with a lot of data, you always have a problem of index bloating and vacuum overhead, where you have to consistently monitor for bloating and so that your indexes does not exceed above a defined size. So with all these growing challenges, our effort was kept more on the maintenance side rather than building the actual product itself. So that's where we decided, searching for alternatives. And that's where ClickHouse stood out really quickly for us. So I personally came to know about ClickHouse back in 2023 when I was going through a blog written by Zero team, how they were utilizing or just utilize it for their logging infrastructure. They had just migrated from ELK-based stack to their own LOJ-based stack, and ClickHouse had significantly reduced their cost and resource saving, and that really piqued my interest at that time. Now let's just try to understand why we chose ClickHouse and why Auditzy and ClickHouse make perfect sense together. First, blazing fast ingest speed and query speed. Now, who doesn't love a blazing fast speed, right? So I did a small POC before the migration on around 300 million data set, imported it to ClickHouse, ran the same queries on ClickHouse itself that we used to do on Postgre, and the difference of the query time was like night and day. It's also cost efficient, not just in terms of compute, but also when it comes to the storage, thanks to its compression capabilities. You can define different compression codecs at the column level itself. For example, double delta for date time, or LZ4 or Z standard for other data types as well. It's open source, right? And has a strong community backing behind it, and you can host it however the way you want, and that was a big positive for us. The one thing that made our migration smoother is because of the compatibility with SQL, where we didn't have to rewrite all the queries from scratch, just made a little bit of tweaks here and there, and everything worked seamlessly. And if you go with the self-hosting route, minimal maintenance is also required. You don't have to monitor for vacuuming and index bloating that we used to do earlier, and it just runs like a clockwork. And finally, it is battle tested for this particular use case, that is real-time analytics. That was our use case as well. It is already being used by brands that handle trillions and petabytes of data at scale, right? So once we decided to go forward with ClickHouse, I posted a little story on LinkedIn about it, and that gained a little bit of traction there. And I believe that visibility itself is what eventually brought me here today to share this journey with you all. Now this is how architecture looked like after the migration. So more or less, if you see, it's more or less the same. That from the left, you have data incoming from the different devices where our script is active, received by the backend service, data gets transformed and enriched, received by the stream, and then it gets sent to the final destination. Now this final destination has changed, right? And this single change has made a huge impact on us, right? Ingestion speed has grown even at the higher traffic loads. Our query speed has become performant even for the larger data volumes. Our tech debt has come down because all of the workarounds that we used to do earlier we have removed all of that. So our overall tech debt has come down, and best of all, we could now think in real time, right? And make sure that a product was real time. So all in all, switching to ClickHouse has taken back our focus back into the product building rather than babysitting the infrastructure that we used to do earlier. Now this is how a snapshot of before and after. Now, in terms of query performance, earlier P50 scenarios, it used to take around 10 seconds. Now it has come down to around 300 milliseconds. That's a 33x boost. And for very complex queries, it used to take around a minute time earlier on Postgre. Now it takes around 15 seconds, which we are continuously working to even bring it more down. We have also gained a lot in terms of storage, where earlier for a 2 billion row data set, it used to take around 2.5 terabytes of data. Now it has come down to around 250 gigs. That is a 10x compression rate, and which has drastically reduced our storage cost as well. Our tech debt has come down a lot because of all the workarounds that we used to do earlier. Everything has been removed. So that has come down as well. And the most impactful thing that we as a product has felt is the feature to market speed, right? Earlier, we used to release a couple of features in a month because of the longer test cycles. We had to go through, creating all the aggregation first and then release the feature. Now all of that is removed. We can directly query to the raw data and get the reports or create new dashboards, analytics on the fly. We just released a couple of features yesterday itself. So all in all, ClickHouse has been a game changer for us, not just in terms of user experience for our dashboard, but also as a developer experience where we can rely on their documentation, or if you have any query, you can go to the community Slack or GitHub discussion where you can ask the community members and they'll be more than happy to help. Now, what's next for us? I think the image is blurred there. So once we got the boost and the base that we needed, right, thanks to ClickHouse, now we started thinking how we can make this performance data more understandable and easier for our users, right? So that's where the Auditzy Copilot comes in, where we are building a system where users can come and ask in a more kind of a natural language way, or a kind of in a chat GPT type interface, and get reports in a more kind of a dynamic way, where they can generate reports as their own needs, right? They don't have to rely on a predefined analytics. Now, some of the prompts that a user can ask, I have put it there, like why are my PDP pages loading slower, or show performance report on a checkout page on Safari. It can be anything, right? Now, all of this will be powered by ClickHouse DB, obviously, and then with ClickHouse MCP server acting as a bridge and a powerful state-of-the-art LLM like Claude or Gemini or OpenAI. The Auditzy Copilot will be a combination of speed that is ClickHouse and the smartness of the LLM with the bridging of the MCP server. So yeah. I think this is it, and I believe I was able to give you a clear picture about our migration journey and how we are excited about what's ahead. If you are curious about how performance can impact your conversion funnels and user experience, you can check us out at auditzy.com, or even better, you can book a quick call with us and understand it with us.